Okay, so picture this. We've got this seemingly picture-perfect couple in Greece. He's a pilot, she's young, totally smitten.
Sounds like the start of a romantic movie.
Right. But, and this is a big but, this story takes a dark turn. We're talking murder. The case of Caroline Crouch and her husband, Babis Anastopoulos.
Ah.
And let me tell you, this documentary you sent over about it, wow.
It's a wild one. What gets me from an investigative standpoint is how this guy Babis, he spun this whole story and everyone bought it. Investigators, the media, everyone.
For over a month, it's like he was giving a master class in deception or something. But like you always say, the truth finds a way.
Always. And in this case, part of that truth was hiding in plain sight on Caroline's wrist, actually.
You're talking about her smartwatch, right?
Bingo. That little piece of tech blew the whole case wide open. See, Babis had this whole story about a home invasion.
Masked intruders, a struggle, awful stuff.
Exactly. But the data from Caroline's smartwatch, totally different story.
Hold on. What kind of info does a smartwatch even record? Could it really contradict his story?
Oh, yeah. Heart rate's a big one. And what they found was chilling. Caroline's heart rate spiked way before Beta said those intruders got there.
So something was already happening.
Exactly. And then, tragically, it flatlined, again, earlier than his timeline allowed for.
The smartwatch basically caught him in a lie.
Like I said, truth finds a way. And it wasn't just the smartwatch. Remember how Babis said he was tied up during this whole thing?
Yeah, helpless. Couldn't do anything to save her.
Well, his fitness tracker told a different story. Showed him moving all around the house when he was supposed to be, tied up.
It's almost funny how obvious it seems in hindsight. You'd think in this day and age, with all the tech we have.
Right. Our digital footprints are hard to erase. But okay, before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's back up a bit. The documentary does a good job showing how Babis and Caroline's relationship started. Whirlwind romance, Met, fell in love, married, all super fast.
He was older, a pilot, seemed to have it all together. Easy to see the appeal.
Total fairy tale. On the surface. But we all know how those usually go. And in this case, Caroline's diary tells a very different story.
Oh man, her diary. Haunting. There's this one line that the documentary quotes. She writes, "I love Babis so much I can't leave him, even though this relationship hurts me."
Knowing what we know now, it's chilling.
It really shows how what we see on the outside doesn't always match reality.
Yeah.
Especially in relationships.
Truth. Behind that picture-perfect image they projected, Caroline was trapped.
And it wasn't just emotional control either, right? Didn't Babis control her finances too?
Yep, classic abuser tactic. Control the money, control the person. Makes it that much harder to leave, even when it's obvious you need to.
It's just awful. And knowing all that makes what happened on May 11, 2021 that much more disturbing. Imagine this. The police get called to their house, and it's like something straight out of a horror movie.
It was a performance, staged to mislead everyone.
So what did he say happened? How did he stage this whole thing?
Okay, so he says they were attacked, right? Burglars broke in, the whole 9 yards.
And he's saying they killed the dog.
Strangled, yeah. Said the house was ransacked, he was tied up, gagged.
And Caroline?
Murdered. The victim of a brutal attack, according to him.
Oh, it's just awful. And the police believed all this at first.
He was convincing. The documentary even said they thought it was professional criminals, based on his description of everything.
What did he say? About the intruders?
Oh, he gave them details, all right. Descriptions, what they did, even how much money he claimed they took.
Trying to make it seem like a robbery gone wrong.
Exactly. But here's the thing about details. They can come back to light you.
That's where those inconsistencies come in.
You got it. Like that basement window. Remember how they showed it in the documentary? Tiny.
Way too small for, well, anyone to fit through, let alone multiple intruders like Babis was claiming.
Exactly. And then there were the neighbors. Not one of them heard any signs of a struggle.
Except for the dog.
Right. They heard the dog whimpering. But no sounds of a fight, no shouting, nothing like that.
Which doesn't really track with his story about a big struggle with multiple intruders.
Not at all. And then there's the missing piece de resistance. That memory card.
From the security camera.
Gone. Babis said the intruders took it, wiped out the footage, cover their tracks.
Smart. Except not really.
Not smart at all. Because while the footage might be gone, the camera's log. Still there. And guess what? It showed that someone removed that card hours before the supposed break-in.
So either these were some seriously organized burglars who knew exactly when to show up, or
it was all staged, which of course it was. But for a while there, he had everyone fooled, even gave interviews, acting like the grieving husband.
Oh, I saw those. He was so convincing. It's kind of scary how good he was at playing the part.
Right. It makes you wonder what's going on in someone's head to be able to lie like that with such conviction. But, all acts have to end sometime.
So what happened? When did it all fall apart for him?
Well, the police finally sat him down, laid out all the evidence, all those inconsistencies we've been talking about, and for 8 hours.
8 hours.
8 hours they interrogated him. Imagine the pressure. And finally, he cracked.
He confessed.
He confessed. But even then, he tried to control the narrative.
What do you mean?
He said, okay, fine, I killed her. But it wasn't premeditated. It was an accident. A fight that got out of hand.
Oh, come on.
He claimed Caroline got aggressive. He just snapped and boom. Classic case of trying to shift the blame, even at that point.
Trying to make her look bad, even after he'd killed her.
Exactly. It's sickening. Trying to control her even in death. But the jury saw right through it. They had all the evidence.
And Bottas was found guilty.
Oh, yeah. Premeditated murder, animal abuse, lying to the police, the whole 9 yards. The documentary said he's never getting out of prison.
Good. It's what he deserves. But it doesn't bring Caroline back.
It doesn't. And that's the truly tragic part of all of this.
It's like something out of a movie. You think, oh, that could never happen in real life, but then it does.
And that's the thing, right? We get so caught up in appearances and the stories people tell that we forget to look deeper.
Like with Babis. He played the part so well, everyone believed him. For a while, at least.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, the truth has a way of revealing itself, huh?
It always does. And sometimes those little details, the ones that seem insignificant at first, they end up being the most telling.
Like with that basement window or the neighbors not hearing anything. It's kind of wild how those things can unravel a whole web of lies.
It's all about the details. And the thing is, in this day and age, it's only getting harder to hide from the truth.
What with all the technology and everything, our phones, our watches, it's like we're leaving a trail everywhere we go.
Our digital footprints. And they're not so easily erased, no matter how hard we try. But, for all the tech involved in this case, for all the evidence it uncovered, this story, it's about something much bigger.
What do you mean?
It's about domestic violence, something that often happens behind closed doors, hidden from view, and it's something we need to talk about more.
You're right, because for all the twists and turns in this case, for all the talk about smartwatches and fitness trackers, at its core, this is Caroline's story. A young woman trapped in a dangerous relationship.
And we can't forget that. Reading those diary entries, those desperate messages, it's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
And that we all have a responsibility to look out for each other, to speak up if we see something that doesn't feel right.
Exactly. Because if we can learn anything from this tragedy, it's that silence only protects the abuser. And we can't let that happen.
We can't. So if you're out there listening and any of this resonates with you, if you're in a situation that feels unsafe, please reach out. There are resources, there's help. You don't have to go through this alone.
We'll be sure to link to some of those resources in the show notes. Because even though we've reached the end of this deep dive, this conversation, it's far from over.
It is. And that's something we all need to remember. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.